The APC-Nemasket Digital Watershed Tour, Chapter 2, The Uplands.
All water flows from somewhere upstream. In a watershed, the uplands are the drier, well-drained areas where water, usually in the form of rain or snowfall precipitation, first hits the ground and flows downhill before reaching rivers, streams, lakes, or groundwater aquifers. Because water movement through the landscape is tied to topography, sometimes watershed uplands that feed a particular body of water can extend miles from a particular lake, stream, or coastline. For example, in our watershed, while Pulaski Park in New Bedford is a full 3 miles away, water that falls there eventually ends up in the ponds. This shows how watershed uplands are connected to downstream water bodies, even when they seem far removed. Uplands are vital to watershed integrity because they determine how much water the watershed absorbs. This is also known as infiltration. Uplands also determine how much water is diverted downstream, as well as the quality of water that reaches all water bodies. Ground cover and soil type make a big difference in how water soaks into the ground, pools, or moves across the land as runoff. Upland sites with coarse, sandy, or porous soil allow precipitation to pass through them rapidly and serve as important groundwater recharge areas. Uplands with fine-textured, less permeable clay soils may not provide significant groundwater recharge. Precipitation falling in these areas seeps into the shallow soil layers or moves slowly across the soil surface before collecting in small streams and wetlands. Soil conditions and their water-holding properties also determine which plants grow in particular upland areas. Plants are important because they do the critical job of filtering and removing many pollutants as water travels downstream into rivers, streams, lakes, oceans, and groundwater reservoirs. All of us land dwellers live in an upland area somewhere along the gradient of watershed topography. The actions that we take in the uplands as we make choices in our daily lives build on one another and have a multiplying effect on downstream water bodies and natural communities. One individual bad action in the uplands may seem small, but when we all pave an extra piece of our property, decide not to pick up contaminants like dog waste, or use more fertilizers than necessary during weather conditions prone to cause leaching, the sum of our individual actions combine to take a negative toll on watershed health, water quality, and a balance between native and invasive species. Here are a few things that you can do to preserve the key positive functions that uplands perform as a gateway of the watershed. Limit the amount of impervious surface on your property and in your community where possible. For example, consider a series of circle stepping stones instead of a full rectangular concrete pathway. Consider supporting local bylaw revisions that allow for more innovative stormwater management best practices, such as the use of permeable pavements that can infiltrate water in place of traditional pavements that cause runoff. Direct rainwater to landscaped areas rather than storm drains. Eliminate bare areas in yards by planting grass, or even better, some native pollinator species. Are you ready to take these steps and become an APC and Nemasket River water protector? Learn the facts, protect our watershed, protect our community.